Michigan Magazine is kept on the road by our many Michigan friends. Cops and Donuts Bakery, downtown Clare, a winning combination. Cops and Donuts. Thunder Bay Resort, a destination for all seasons with special events and packages. Thunder Bay Resort in Hillman. Remembering good times and great food, Frank and Lisa invite you to Tin Lizzie's in Mayo for a blast back to the 50s and 60s when food was made from scratch, including home-ground Angus burgers. A full menu of great food and good memories await you at the new Tin Lizzie's of Mayo. Planning your special day? Canyons Resort on beautiful Sage Lake can make it happen. Enjoy a beachfront wedding. Everything in one location. Food, beverage, lodging, and entertainment. Canyons handles everything from floral arrangements to the wedding cake. Call now to reserve your special day at Canyons. It's summer in Michigan, and the adventures are everywhere. This week on Michigan Magazine, join us for a trip to the town that Ford built, Alberta, Michigan. An Upper Peninsula company town way ahead of the day's technology. A place where Ford's dreams could be tested. But first, we're staying in the UP to visit with a wood-turning artist, Bill Weir. He sees the art in abandoned wood and brings them to life. It's all coming up on this week's Michigan Magazine. Cops and Donuts Bakery, downtown Clare. What began as a crazy idea among 9 police officers to purchase the historic Clare City Bakery quickly became an international phenomenon, carrying on a Michigan tradition with delicious donuts, pies, pastries, breads, original coffee, and more. Plus a full menu at the new adjacent Traffic Stop Diner. Downtown Clare, a winning combination. Cops and Donuts. There certainly is beauty in trees. They're the material for artists and craftsmen alike. In their lifetime, they provide the subject matter for the painter or photographer. In their passing, their life is celebrated through the hands of the artist-craftsman. On this edition of Michigan Magazine, we make our way into the Keweenaw Peninsula to the home studio of Bill Weir. Here on the shores of Lake Superior, normally discarded trees, stumps, and burls are transformed into beautiful bowls, dishes, goblets, and other decorative pieces of art that are both breathtaking and utilitarian. Bill is a wood-turning artist. Through the careful manipulation of gouges, chisels, and heavy-duty lathes, Bill produces his art to an ever-growing and appreciative audience. Bill tells us that he's loved working and creating with wood for nearly as long as he can remember.
Well, it was almost at birth. I started out in 4-H woodworking downstate in the Ypsilanti, Ann Arbor area when I was about 10 years old. And then when I went to college, I was an industrial arts major. So I did a little more. And then I went in the Army for 20 years, so I kind of got away from it. And we moved up here in 1981. And there's so much wood here.
So much beauty, inspiration around you, isn't there?
That I got started again, and I've been doing it ever since then.
Do you recall the person that you saw, perhaps, who did this artwork beforehand, where you were inspired by, or was this a fairly new?
Well, since I started doing it, I've been involved with some just absolutely expert people. David Ellsworth from Pennsylvania, John Jordan from Tennessee, and Richard Raffin from Australia. We go to wood-turning seminars and symposiums, and those people demonstrate and are excellent teachers and great inspiration to people too.
The work that they can create from just something that we would just normally see as pieces of wood or stumps is something that you look at differently, don't you? I mean,
yes.
You look at it, you're walking through the woods at a different with different eyes.
Yeah, and even after we get them here, like this is a big basswood burl.
Oh boy! You see something in that can be made?
Well, something like this, you kind of have to get a cup of coffee and just sit and look at it for a while and see exactly what you're going to do with it. You know, there's certain things you could do. You could cut these off individually and make small bowls. The lathe that I have is big enough that, you know, it would take most of these. It's a big job, but usually what you get is worth it, because the inside, you can see, is beautifully figured here. And it's going to make a very nice project.
Yeah.
A bowl or an urn or
Do you go yourself out physically looking for these pieces, or do you get people coming to you with pieces, or is it a combination?
Well, both.
Both?
Yes. The only time I've ever cut a live tree is a tree that's going to come down anyway.
Right. Oh.
Someone will call and say, we're going to put another room on the house, and we've got this old apple tree that has to be cut. So, they'll give me the tree. Or when I built the pole barn across the road, there was a couple of birch and some maple that had to be removed, and so I cut those, and I got some nice pieces for artwork there. And then the rest of it, I use the whole tree. I just use firewood. In fact, this is some of it right here that we brought back here. I even use the popple. Most people up here don't burn popple, but for spring and summer, in the fireplace or the wood stove works just fine.
So everything that you have here as far as wood is used in one way or the other?
Yes.
Yes.
And this right here, which is a absolute nuisance wood, this is box elder. Down in the lower peninsula, which has a very obnoxious bug.
Yes.
And they blow down easy in the windstorms, but they make a beautiful turning. You can see there's a red streak in most all of the box elder that I brought back up here.
Oh my.
The walnut, I think, is my favorite, whether I'm turning it or making a piece of furniture or trimming a kayak that we worked on this summer. The walnut is just has always been my favorite. Yeah, we put this kayak kit together for my daughter this summer.
Oh, gee.
And again, we were speaking of the walnut. About 50-some years ago, my father came along, and the county road commission people had cut a walnut tree.
You're kidding.
And he told them he'd come and get the log. So we went and got the logs and had them sawed up into boards. And I've been using them ever since. So we trimmed this kayak, put the rub rails on it and the cockpit
all in
from walnut. We did a little inlay up here with walnut. And then also we put her initial on here with a piece of Purple Heart from South America. I had a little scrap left. So it made a nice dressing for the...
Yes. Have you had it out yet?
Yes. It was out yesterday, and that's why it's kind of sandy and all right now. But,
in Lake Superior here?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Lake Superior and the shipping canal that goes between Houghton and Hancock.
Oh, yeah.
This is kind of a standard wood shop. I've got a bandsaw and a table saw and a drill press and jointer.
But here are some of your finished products.
Well, that's not quite finished
yet. Look at this.
That's not quite finished. That was
beautiful.
A very special find.
Well, look at the pattern. What kind of wood is this?
That is a poplar burl.
Look at that.
That was growing on the side of a tree.
This is a burl.
And it's the only one I've ever found. I have a special tool that I can use on very special pieces of wood, that rather than making a big pile of shavings out of this very nice piece of wood, I'm able to cut additional smaller bowls out of it. So this is going to be a nested bowl set of three pieces out of the same burl. That's finished, and that is a white birch burl, which was a large, ball growing on the side of the tree.
Something that people would say, that's just trash.
Well, they used to, but now they don't. The loggers used to leave those in the woods. They would take their logs and leave the burls in the woods, but they have discovered the worth of these, so they're bringing them in now, and they sell them to carvers or wood turners.
That is beautiful.
This is an oak bowl that has a food-safe finish on it, just the first coat.
Okay.
What I'll do is sand this smooth again and put 2 or 3 coats of a special food.
So it will be able to be used.
Yes, it could be a salad bowl. And I've got some other special ones. I've picked up a nice big square piece of koa wood from the Big Island in Hawaii, or the Big Island of Hawaii. And I also cut a couple of smaller ones out of here, but this is special here. This is
this only found in Hawaii?
Only found in Hawaii. And I found a wood turner in Hawaii that had a piece that him.
Incredible work made even more overwhelming by the fact that it wasn't uncommon for over a year's work to be put into each piece when the carving and drying time is taken into consideration. From bowls to vases and even bottle stoppers, the lathe of Bill Weir was not to be stopped. It was a one-of-a-kind of experience visiting with Bill and his family, surrounded by UP inspiration. Bill Weir, another outstanding Michiganian, doing what they love to do while truly living in this Great Lake state. Michigan Magazine is being brought to you in part by Oscoda County's Timberland Quilt Trail. Tour our quilt trail next time you're in northeastern Lower Michigan. Cedar Valley Golf Club on Weaver Road, Cummins, Michigan. The beautiful Woodworker Shop located directly across the street from the Skyline Event Center. Detweiler Chalets of Fairview open all year. New recreational trails on man-made lakes. Cummins Market in downtown Cummins, the best little store in town. The Kirtland Insurance Agency, your independent agents in Lewiston and Mayo. Fairview Food Market, famous for their fresh and homed smoked meats, located on the corner in Fairview. Historic Mod Dealers of Luzerne, your hosts Mo and Bird Smith invite you to enjoy good food, drink, and company. Clemex Sales and Service on Mapes Road, west of Mile, your complete recreational vehicle sales and service connection. Visit their beautiful showroom of new and pre-owned ATVs, lawnmowers, power equipment, snowmobiles, utility vehicles, and more. Clemex Sales and Service is also the home of the American-made Victory motorcycle line on display at Clemex on Mapes Road, Mile. On an earlier edition of Michigan Magazine, we introduced you to the history of Alberta, Michigan, the town Henry Ford built. A true company town dedicated to innovative ideas that made the Ford Company nearly totally self-reliant, from the forest and foundries to the automobile and beyond. The village was gifted in 1953 to Michigan Technological University, where to this day it continues on the cutting edge of forestry research, management, and more.
Structure of how the center has been related to Michigan Tech has changed. At one time, we were a department, and we had several units that were sort of clustered under that department. Now we've evolved into a school, and this is a facility that's administered by the school as part of our mission, which is education, research, and outreach. As we got into the 70s, there were some other interesting things that they did with research, a lot of it with our other forest type. We have northern hardwoods on about half the ownership, mixed hardwoods, and then we have jack pine. We're on a transition zone here from where the old Lake Nipissing, the Outwash Plain outlet, is just right to the northwest of the town site here. And so in the hardwoods, we're in a morainal system, material accumulated, pushed up by the glaciers, and we get these large hills. And then just to the west, we have the Outwash, which supports a whole different community. It's very dry, it's dominated by jack pine. And in the 70s, there were concerns with how to regenerate that properly. A lot of it was getting old, and there were concerns about perpetuating it as a species, and so there was a lot of research done in direct seeding, site preparation. They did use a little bit of fire, although that was always kind of a contentious, fire prevention was kind of more the norm in those days. As we moved into the 80s, there were a variety of silvicultural experiments, related to intensity of cutting and things like that. And some of the more recent lines of research have picked up with things like climate change. We have one study in particular that's part of a larger network of sites that represents a gradient throughout the state. And they're essentially looking at that as there's nitrogen deposition along that gradient. There's also a temperature gradient. And then we have the one in the back that you may have noticed, the fenced area, which was the precursor of a lot of the CO2 and ozone work that's been done. You may have heard of some of the large research that's been undertaken by the Forest Service. They're looking at climate change, they're looking at these increases in gases, they do this fumigation and then monitor, but this was the precursor to some of the larger experiments that happen right here.
So a lot of things are happening right here in Alberta that is affecting a lot of people throughout the industry and...
Yes, and that's been true, I think, kind of throughout the history, that there's always been sort of a strong link to industry and a strong link back to the practitioners on the ground. And so that's been sort of part of the history since the 50s. And the advantage that we have is these long-term sites where forest growth and development has been monitored for this length of time are fairly rare. There's not that many of them in the country. And so we have a fairly unique opportunity here. Throughout its history, There's also been links linking the research with the education, and so students having access to some of these sort of cutting-edge experiments and making it a really strong part of the educational program is something that we continue. Being able to involve students with things that are happening sort of right on the cutting edge of forest research, and using the area as a proving ground for these developing professionals.
And the industry, I think, is taking what you have come up with and doing some very, very select cutting and some very responsible things in the industry now than they did maybe 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah, some of the other lines of research that happened here over the years, they've looked at productivity of equipment, some of the early equipment development in the industry. We had a partnership with the Forest Service lab in Houghton that was forest engineering, and they were looking at developing different types of equipment, its impacts on the site, its productivity. They were doing time studies. They were doing some really interesting work with the northern hardwood development as it relates to quality. Part of what had happened with the partial cutting was a lot of the better trees had been taken. That was the norm back in the day, and so there was not a real understanding of long-term forest development, and there was a perception that these forests were huge and would just kind of go on forever, yet it only took 50 or 60 years to cut over the whole state. What Ford was left with were these second growth stands that had come back following that major disturbance, and there was sort of differences of opinion of how to treat those. Some of the old guys said just cut them all down and start over, but a lot of those early researchers, when they talked about partial cutting, wanted to take advantage of the height development to be able to maintain some kind of structure. And what they determined by using the sawmill, they could measure trees on the ground, that were on the stump. When they would come in to do a treatment, they could fell the tree and take measurements, direct measurements on the tree on the ground. Then they could saw that tree up into logs and actually saw it up in the sawmill and actually follow that tree right to boards and be able to go from the quality of the tree to the quality of the logs to the quality of the boards. And so they did these what we call log grade to lumber grade yield studies. And that's yielded just a tremendous amount of information in terms of the advantage of partial cutting and quality improvement in the long term. And so that's a lot of us that we talk about the difference between being in it in the short term for maximum economic gain versus being in the long term is a different strategy. But they've been able to prove with this study and other studies that are similar, as I mentioned, that long-term gain in quality is something that is economically viable, and it produces the products that are at the upper end of the scale. We are administered through the school and supervised by the dean. We also have a Ford Center and Research Forest Committee that gives input on policy and management of the forest, and of course all of this is available for faculty input, so the remaining faculty in the school. And the thought is to really take this facility and develop it as a strategic asset. What it means for the university in terms of education and research is that we own a town. And it's essentially a full-scale community model for things like forest management, and now we're looking into some of the newer bioenergy. At the original concept for Ford was to utilize the mill waste to heat the town, which is again very progressive. And it's interesting how we're kind of getting back to that now.
It's the town Ford built, Alberta, Michigan, located just south of Lance on Highway 41 in Barragan County, in Michigan's beautiful Upper Peninsula. Alberta's remarkable resilience as an historic and educational site is testimony to Henry Ford's vision, a vision that can be seen up close and personal during special events at the museum. For more information on Alberta, visit our website at www.michiganmagazine.com. Shopping for that special person just got easier when you shop at Rose City Drug at 2640 North M33, just south of the Rose City city limits. You'll find gifts for everyone on your list from 1 to 100. Shop online or in person at Rose City Drug, Rose City. Hale Hardware, your do-it center in Hale, Michigan. Much more than a regular hardware store, providing everything you need for whatever your project is, along with a knowledgeable sales staff to get her done. Serving Northern Michigan since 1946. Hale Hardware, south of M65 at Ainsley in Hale. The Michigan-made rebounding mailbox pull. Never again worry about the winter snowplow taking out your mailbox. With this ingenious rebounding pull, your mailbox takes a hit and keeps coming back year after year. Call now or visit their website, toughmailboxes.com. That's it for this edition of Michigan Magazine. Today's phrase of the day is Alberta, the town that Ford built. You know what to do. Email it to us at iwatchmichiganmagazine@gmail.com or send it to the following address. Then stay tuned as we begin drawing for great gifts and vacation getaways. Be sure and visit our website for more information on upcoming events at our Skyline Event Center and communities we'll be visiting throughout Michigan during the summer of 2014. Thanks for joining us. We'll catch you later for another journey along Michigan's back roads on Michigan Magazine. We'd like to thank all those that help keep Michigan Magazine on the road. Cops and Donuts Bakery, downtown Clare, a winning combination. Cops and Donuts. Thunder Bay Resort, a destination for all seasons with special events and packages. Thunder Bay Resort in Hillman. Experience the beauty, artistry, and taste of northern Michigan. Come to Amish Country Natural Products on Mount Tom Road, north of Mile, just off M33. From arts and crafts to fresh foods and vegetables, all natural, all local, all good. Stop by, get acquainted with Amish Country Natural Products, 1454 North Mount Tom Road, Mile. Rose Valley Winery on Beechwood Road in Rose City. See what thousands are raving about, creating a delicious variety of award-winning Michigan wines. Stop by and taste for yourself. The taste of Michigan is yours at Rose Valley Winery. Hingeman Acres, Canoe Livery and Resort on M33, just north of Mayo, catering to the outdoor enthusiasts. Cabins, canoes, kayaks, rafts, and more. Daytime or overnight trips along the world-famous Asabo River. A family getaway for over 75 years. Tin Lizzie's 50s and 60s Diner of Mayo, a Michigan dining destination. Cops and Donuts and the Traffic Stop Diner, open 7 days a week and 24/7 during the summer. Amish Country Natural Products of Mayo, featuring area arts, crafts, food, and all natural products. Luzerne Hardware, downtown Luzerne, more than just a hardware. Hingeman Acres, Cabins and Canoes of Mayo. The Mayo Mud Bogs, July 5th and August the 30th.